Henwood. Councilman Doran. Here. Councilman Monti.
Here.
Councilman Vidal.
Here.
Councilman Bartolomeo.
Here.
Mayor Delaney.
Here. In compliance with New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, I hereby declare that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided, specifying that this meeting would be held on this date in the municipal building, 55 River Road, Edgewater, New Jersey, at 7 p.m. This notice was sent to the Record and Jersey Journal, posted on the bulletin board in the lobby of the Borough Hall, and posted on the borough's website. This time I ask for a moment of silence. Please join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, to start off tonight, we have a promotion. We have Officer William Wallach promoted to sergeant tonight. So
Mayor,
I'd ask that Greg read the appointing resolution.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas Chapter 66 of the Code of the Borough of Edgewater establishes the organization table of the Edgewater Police Department, and whereas a vacancy exists in the position of police sergeant, and whereas as a result of the New Jersey Department of Personnel competitive examination for the position of police sergeant, the following candidate is placed number 1 and is eligible for appointment: William Wallach. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Edgewater that William Wallach is hereby appointed to the position of police sergeant in the Edgewater Police Department effective immediately with a salary in accordance with the present salary ordinance. Need a motion?
Do I have an introduction?
So moved.
Second? Second. Roll call.
Councilman Henwood.
Yes.
Councilman Doran.
Yes.
Councilman Monti.
Yes.
Councilman Vidal.
Yes.
Councilman Bartolomeo.
Yes.
Resolution passes, Mayor.
Bill, if you'd like to come up with to the dais with your family. I state your full name.
I, William John Wallach,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New
and
Jersey,
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
And I do solemnly swear
And I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of police sergeant
of the office of police sergeant
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, enough. All right, the paparazzi's done.
Got some words for us, Steve? Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
up the order a little bit. We're going to ask that Sue Scavone and Alexin Kalazos from Millennium Strategies. Please come on up. Sorry, Bernadette. And we have Bernadette.
Yes, thank you. You sit here or you stand?
Can you-
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
So nice to be back in Edgewater. And we'll just find out. Thank you for having us. We were asked to come here tonight to have a brief discussion with you as to where the industry grant program for Edgewater is at. And I'm Brandon, also known as Susan, one of the principal partners at Millennium Strategies. Bernadette McPherson is our senior vice president. Allison Plaza Bill, he is the grant manager who works directly with Edgewater. So we're here tonight to give you a little bit of information and answer all of your questions.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, as Sue said, I'm Bernadette McPherson, I'm the Senior Vice President for Millennium Strategies. Millennium Strategies has been pleased to represent the Borough of Edgewater since 2009. In that time, we have brought in over $2.5 million in grant awards, working very closely with your administrator and you, the governing body. We've been pleased in the last year alone, in just 2014, we brought in over $106,180 in grant resources. Resources that are additional revenues outside of your municipal budget, as you know. The grants that you've chosen for us to pursue touch virtually every aspect of your residents' lives. Every aspect of your residents' lives. From the post-Sandy planning grant for $30,000 for community development block grant funding for street improvements, from grant applications that we've submitted that are awaiting decision. Grants like a New Jersey Transit bus for your seniors, fire safety and prevention, a cops hiring program, a transportation alternative program, and safe routes to schools to improve your roads. In addition, we're waiting. We have grant opportunities in progress. The Bergen County Historic Preservation Trust Fund to make improvements to a special project that you have underway here that Allison has some more information about. DOT municipal aid, Bergen County open space, and so on and so forth. So we've been very pleased with the close working relationship that we've developed with you over the years. If you have any questions for us, we're always, certainly at your call. If there's anything in particular that you'd like us to research and pursue, I had the opportunity to speak to one of your residents in the back about a project that's of interest to her. But certainly, if you have any questions for us, we'd be happy to answer them.
I have a question. And I actually asked to sort of a review because it seems quiet. And I guess when you look at 2009 and now, it's 5 years and 2.5, so about $500,000 a year you're doing on average. I know some years better than others, and some years funding are better than others. But so we're at 100 now, halfway through the year, so it is slow. And why is that happening?
Well, actually, there are several grants pending right now, so they've been submitted, and they have not made any announcement on these awards.
We have about, I think, let me just see. We have $726,261 in grants that we have submitted that are waiting for the granting agencies to decide on.
Have they looked? You get a better feel of inside track as to.
I mean, I love the TAP grant. I think the TAP grant is excellent. I think the cops hiring might be, it's so competitive. Cops hiring is very competitive, even though I think Edgewater is derisively situated because of your location to New York City and the drug super highway.
Let me ask you that. So when you do the grant request for the cops hiring, is it obviously talking to the chief that we're below the Justice Department's levels of staff that we should have? I guess everyone is, but all that goes into the grant as justification for us versus others.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And you've received justice grants before, back in 2000, and you've received a few, not the cops rehiring, but you've received other ones, and you've spent them. You've never had any problems with them, so you have a good track record with them, which is good. It's just they're so highly competitive and they're nationwide.
Right.
So it's not that you're just competing against New Jersey towns, you're competing against Los Angeles Police Department, Chicago Police Department. So it becomes increasingly difficult. And you just never know which way they're going to go and what priorities they're going to set.
So when we, when we're looking at the paper, we see the Homeland Security federal grants and, and there are towns around us and whatnot. So you're penetrating both federal level, state, and county, is that all? Okay. And then when you say that, the champ, you said that the grants and the monies that we requested you pursue, you made that statement in your opening. Is that generally how it's been so far? Are you giving us any places we should go as opposed to things that we've asked you to pursue?
Councilman, we provide a monthly notification of grants that are available, and certainly if there are particular areas that you wish us to research, we'll be happy to do that. One grant in particular that I wanted to mention that is in progress, which I think you have a great likelihood of being successful on, is the Bergen County Historic Preservation Trust grant. You've been successful in the past for that. That's for the improvements, if you will, to your old municipal building, which I remember quite well having a freedom meeting there. This is lovely. So we're looking forward to being successful on that grant. The close relationship that we've developed, there's a particular area, as we said, I think the last time that we were at a council meeting, that you'd like us to research. The federal, state, county, as well as private philanthropic grants that are available are what we make known to you.
Have you met this year with our OEM, Bob Christensen, in terms of, because there seems to be a lot of grants in that area, fire and OEM, and like the fire boat that we have.
No, I haven't met with them. I have.
Well, why don't we regroup that and kind of just get a push on some of those areas, because I know that they're attending meetings downriver on the all the monies are available, because it's a whole new push with regards to transportation, getting people down. We have a boat, we have two boats, as a matter of fact, and getting a lot of calls. It's a lot of training, a lot of equipment, and we can regroup on that. I was just concerned because.
Coming down with some of the projects, I'm very involved with the recovery and disaster recovery monies. 90% of my book of business and my strategies is disaster recovery. I actually wrote your fire boat grant, so it was one of my favorites to write.
Thank you.
And I've also been very involved at the state level in some of the recovery efforts on interoperability and monies that came down from the VTOP monies, the stimulus monies back in 2010. So I can tell you, yes, I think the meeting is definitely warranted. But I can tell you that Edgewater and this entire area is always within the purview of Homeland Security because you are a critical part. And I think everyone knows that. So the monies that are out there, you're absolutely right. It's just where you are, when the monies come down, and where you're going to be positioned at that time.
Okay.
And they don't necessarily come in the form of grants, per se. They come in the form of being welcomed into the funding aspect. So,
English,
there's monies that are out there, and it's just getting them to bring it in, attending those meetings, so now you're part of the equipment that's coming out. Like, there's a big project that's going to be going on during 21 Florida. It's the newest project that's out there. Just happened. When it spreads out, and it will spread out, you want to be in that fold. We're very much involved with that. So that's like where we bring our clients into it.
I mean, the relationships to get the grant again.
It won't necessarily be a grant funding in the form of a check that is issued to Edgewater to disperse.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to take up any more time. I just know that, I'm seeing a lot in the paper. I know what you've done in the past, and it just seemed very slow this year. I just wanted to let you guys know that we're looking at everything this year we have to.
Of course.
All professional services, all professional providers, and anything you do to push some of the 726 through would be greatly appreciated. I do appreciate your work.
Thank you. We do have the monthly report here in the absence of Mr. Shall I give it to the administrator?
I have a couple of questions for you
Okay.
as well, please. What's the success rate that we have with the grants that we're submitting? So in other words, on a yearly basis or a monthly basis, or a quarterly basis, how many grants are we applying for?
That's what we
What's
can
our
tell
success
you,
rate?
the grants that we've submitted for review, the grants that we've actually submitted, put an application forth. We are averaging since 2009 close to, if not exceeding $500,000 in alternative sources of revenue for you.
Right.
But as
If
far
that's
as
important-
a percentage, based on what we've submitted, what our batting average is as a.
Yeah, that's kind of like, are we barking up the wrong tree? Do we need to kind of like look in another direction? Because if we're submitting 10 applications and we're getting one, and we've got a 10% success ratio, and maybe we need to start rethinking how we go about applying for our grants. I mean, I know that 2.9 is a nice number, but doesn't that include the fireboat as well?
Since 2009? Yes.
Yeah, fireboat was a big chunk of money too, so.
I would say this, you know, we're going to recommend grants to you that you would have a likelihood, excuse me, of success. We're not going to recommend grants that are absolutely positively outside of the purview of the Borough of Edgewater qualifying for. So if we're making that recommendation to you, it means that you have a, you know, a chance of success for it. Grants are, as you know, those alternative sources of funds are much more challenging for municipalities to secure than they were in the past. But as far as a batting average, I suppose we could get those figures for you. But we look mostly at the revenue we're able to generate for you, and certainly making sure that that exceeds the fees that we charge you for our services, and we've been successful in that.
Well, I'm sorry, just on that, I mean, you're just about ahead, but that's our concern. And we had this sort of conversation this time last year, and you were gonna, we knew your efforts. We don't want to be a small fish in your big pond.
No,
We want
of
to
course
be
not.
one of the bigger players, and we have people coming to us saying, you know what, maybe you're not getting the attention. I'm just being honest with you, so that's where our concern is.
No.
If we're looking at 30, 40,000 fees and 100,000 return, that's an issue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all about that percentage that Mike just pointed out. You know, we want to make sure that we're maximizing that. I mean, I know there's two different approaches on how to go about getting grant money. And one is paying a finder's fee, and the other one is paying a contract with a company like what we've chosen to do with Millennium since 2009. And you mentioned something about us kind of letting you know about some of the grants that we want to go after. But we have limited resources here in the borough, and we need to make sure that you guys have your eyes out there.
No,
for us.
Councilman, don't misunderstand me. When I say that I want you to make us aware, please make us aware of particular goals and objectives you have that may be falling outside of what we find, having had, you know, conversations with you and having some ideas of what your goals and objectives are.
Well, we
But
like
if
to
there's
say-
something else that you'd like us to
What we
pursue,
like to say to our clients are, you know, you have your ideas of where you see yourself as a council in the next 12 months. Where do you see yourself in 2 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What's your short-term planning? What are your long-term goals? Let us know those so we can keep our eyes out for whatever it is that your goals and objectives are. We'll find the funding. We just need to know what do you think.
So you keep coming back to it. You just said we don't have the sort of resources to continue to help you with that. That we're looking for, maybe it's a shotgun approach to whatever might be out there, because there are only X amount of things that are out there, correct, that are available. And we want to know which everyone is, maybe come to us, maybe be more proactive on your side as well, that's what we're asking for. Again, we don't want to be a small fish in your big pond.
Right,
So
no, no.
that Homeland Security, that's a goal and objective, so now that's a good start for us to check. And then another
But
avenue.
it's September.
Well,
We had this conversation, and I'm not trying to be difficult, but we had this conversation with your group last October, November, and we were,
We've got a lot of infrastructure issues here, especially with storm drain water. You know, we've been discussing that for quite some time. And maybe it's a good idea for your group to come back to us at next month's work session and let us know what we can pursue so that we can improve some of the issues that we've got on River Road when we get heavy rainstorms. There are businesses that are suffering because despite the work that we did, the infrastructure work that we've done on River Road in the last few years, they're still getting their businesses flooded. And
what is the status of the outflow? Has anybody talked to him last 40, 50 days from here? From Negley or from anybody talking about the outflow? If there has been discussions, all right? Because that's critical. So you can put that right on top of what's happening.
and we put the LOI in with the county.
LOI is what?
Letter of intent when the Sandy funding came available after.
This is not Sandy, this is.
But it came in because we did submit for that under the letter of intent for the hazard mitigation funding. There are, and there is one, I think Allison is pursuing information on some environmental infrastructure trust funding as well. It is not a grant, it is a funding mechanism. But there is some, well, we have been in discussions and it has been very, very clear on top of our agenda for looking for alternative funding sources.
Okay. For part two of that particular project, are you familiar with what I'm referring to? The
I
outflow?
talked to, yes, that's the one that's flooding the parking lot of the businesses, and it is also your emergency evacuation route, correct?
right, yeah.
And
feedback on that?
We just came out last week, so we have some feelers out at the state level for it's the Sandy EIT funding.
So we'll talk, what, a month, 2 months?
No, within the next few days.
The next meeting then, maybe?
Absolutely, because you usually have to move on that pretty quickly.
Good.
Sue,
Just one more.
can you explain the letter of intent with the mitigation funding from 2012?
Okay, 2012.
Because that was a
yeah.
significant amount that
Yes.
we
Yeah, no.
applied for. Neglia worked on a scope of
Absolutely.
work, provided an estimate.
Yes.
Now, your office says those applications are still alive and well.
They're alive, they're not well.
Okay.
They're alive, they're at the county level. When the President of the United States declares a disaster, 15% of the estimated cost of that disaster comes back to the state where the disaster occurred in the form of mitigation funding. State of New Jersey was hit on October 29th with Hurricane Sandy. Within the first 6 months of Hurricane Sandy, FEMA estimated what the cost of that storm would have cost New Jersey. 9 counties were declared federal disaster areas. Bergen was one of them, okay? So 6 months in, FEMA puts a cost on there, 15% comes back to the state in the form of mitigation monies. We put in, the state police OEM puts out and says, okay, everybody puts in letters of intent. It is the first application process to access mitigation funding. Edgewater put in for a few things. We put in for some steel trap doors for the community center for flood purposes. We put in for the outfalls. It was the first time that I had actually heard about this. Mike Berliner gave me quite an education about the outfall, the need for the bigger to larger diameter, the reason why, and what the effects were. The problem we had with that project is that there is no flood data. If you look at your flood loss history for any homes in the area, there are none. You have very limited homes that flooded in February because your homes are up, your businesses are down, and the businesses don't carry flood insurance. So it is very difficult to make that argument to FEMA that you have damages, and I'm not talking in the form of public assistance, I'm talking pure mitigation now, because I don't have flood data. If I have flood data, I can make that argument. So even though we submitted to Bergen submitted their mitigation plans to the state said, Edgewater doesn't have technically a flood problem.
Okay, can I just stop here for a second? We were talking about the outflows here. We started with, and I know you asked to talk to us about the ARPA letter. Mike, maybe you can help us here. But that was well before Sandy. I mean, we're not even talking about the flooding, we're talking about a project that was began, it didn't work, and now it's still not working. It's two different things, Mike, is it not? Is it okay to Mike? Are you familiar? I don't mean to say that either, but.
No,
Because this is really critical. I mean, this is like a whole block of town that they, in fact, they've been here. They're not very vocal, but the business guys are getting killed. And this is not your responsibility, don't get me wrong,
But this is a
if
good
we're talking about
opportunity.
Sandy versus the outflow, that doesn't connect.
Yeah, I mean, we'll follow back, but I think that all the information on the entire drainage system, including outflow project, was submitted to them to go try to find any and all funding available for it.
But it wouldn't be the Sandy thing, though, right?
It's not Sandy.
But that was the mechanism that provided the funding. That was the mechanism that provided the funding. Before that event, she would have applied for it if it
But,
existed.
okay, now again, just take them out of the room here, because we've been talking about this for the last 4 months about the outflow and the issue. And I know you've heard from us about it.
Yes.
That project that was done, that was disruptive for months and months and months, and, worked for a couple of weeks, and it doesn't work anymore. We were told, well, good luck, go get the second half. So you're saying it was funded and activated by Sandy, but it was completed before that.
But that particular project, and Sue just mentioned it, was an environmental infrastructure funded project. And
So they're looking for it to go back to ground two.
that may be the most practical approach, is to get a low-interest loan from the Environmental Infrastructure Trust.
The key is it's a low-interest loan versus
Right.
a grant where you don't have to repay.
And it's not linked to Sandy, we don't have the flood data and all that, we still.
We already spoke to, I'm sorry, I already spoke to the state regarding this project, and also the reason is because we're trying to find out, and this was my conversation with the state, with discussions, and we're in the process of finding out. And if we are, we can just, once we have a complete understanding of this, we can present it. But it is a loan, so we do have to. And I just want to make one other point regarding it, because we are trying to find things that are important to Edgewater. And the flooding is an important thing. In fact, we actually tried and we pursued the FEMA Flood Mitigation Assistance Program that Mike and I and the entire office and Sue worked on this. And this was it's a program for mitigation, flood mitigation in Edgewater. The only problem, or the only thing is that there was a benefit cost analysis that we needed to complete and be qualified. So we did all of that work, and they did all that work, and we unfortunately were not qualified. So we didn't proceed. But just to let you know that we are
Sure. I think
aware.
that maybe help clarify is, prior to Sandy, there wasn't a lot of funds out there for those type of projects outside the wastewater infrastructure trust program, which has been around many, many years. But you have to pay that money back, so it's not just given to you. So, after Sandy came, more funding became available for those types of projects, Councilman. That's why that got put into the post-Sandy funding requests. So I think that's.
Since we have it at one point, could you just educate me, that the outflow below Whole Foods and out there, and all that work that was done, all that time, and money that was secured by you or others, and this doesn't work, looks like it's just because it's sunk in the mud out the river, is there any recourse to that? Other than fixing it,
Well,
okay?
if I can mention, in the beginning of the summer, there was an article in the newspaper about the DEP allowing certain towns to be